The rest of the report is so sick I'd rather not read it. But the point is, when they tell you they think the elections are rigged, they're lying. They admit openly that the point isn't to have fair elections. Run on policies that the majority agree with a reach to compromise. The point is to get rid of the majority that they know disagrees with them and rule from the minority position. They want the strong man to hold down and force feed you the racist Christian nationalism. They want you dead for speaking out. They want you deported for being brown. This is fascism.
What's up, YouTube? Drill Sgt here, and I'm just getting back from my portion of the 7 days in DC. I was happy to get there. I'm happy to get back home. I didn't do much, if any, uploading while I was there because I was there for a specific purpose, which was to do the Veterans event. I wanted to make sure that I raised my hand and said that I was going to put on an event for veterans, to help veterans in need, also to galvanize and to motivate some veterans into the actions that I believe are necessary to take the country back on its 250th birthday and beyond. What I learned, small takeaway, before I show you the speech that I had. I thought it was a pretty good one, but it was probably too long because it was hot and sweaty, and not everybody needed to be out there that long. But what I said was necessary. And what I said was, when the type of fascism that rains down bullets and grenades becomes a type of fascism that we have to fight back in order to keep this a democracy, the veterans with certain training are going to have to be the ones to step up and lead it. The takeaway number 2 is, I'm not sure how much more of this I can do. There was infighting and people didn't like this person and that person didn't like that I said this. Some people were supposed to be there and they dropped out. And they dropped out because they thought that their friend was being slighted. And because their platform is so big, they were going to make sure that the people pay. And people are going to pay. I'm not going to show up to that. And I'm so big, that's going to hurt them. Forget that. Who are they? Because they forgot that the reason for it were the veterans and the groups that were invited by me to be there to help veterans. They thought that the people who were going to pay for them not showing up was going to be me and the other group that they don't like, or whatever it is. I'm going to say who came or who didn't come off the list, because it's not about that. You got to believe me when I say that I still consider these folks friends. It's not about that. What it's about is what we can learn as a resistance, hopefully in this commentary and takeaway from the weekend. That's all. But I'm probably not going to be holding it with these influencer groups. Maybe if I was bigger, maybe if I was bigger, what someone did in the past would matter way more to me than the veterans that I signed up for on that day, and I couldn't get over it, and I couldn't find a way through it, because fascism, of course, can wait for me to feel better. Because Lord knows that fighting fascism has never ever meant coinciding and commingling with people who didn't actually share your every single belief. And Lord knows that fighting fascism means that Huey P. Newton would never have signed up and partnered with the Sons of the Confederacy, because they saw that they were both on the side of the poor people, and they could sit there with one with a Black Panther sign and the other with a Confederate flag. Everybody knows that couldn't happen, because of course it's way more important to make sure that my thing is taken care of. And maybe it is. And maybe when I'm big enough to ghost and say I'm not showing up and never call or never care about the person who just has a few views, even though they're trying their hardest to put it together. Maybe if I'm them, maybe when I'm that big, I'll do the same thing. Maybe that's what being big does to you. We'll see. Maybe I can turn into that kind of a creator when I get big enough. That I can make sure that people pay for me not showing up even though my name is on the billboard. Because I didn't like the thing that was done here. And of course, I'm not showing up because I cared about the veterans. I'm showing up because I'm doing you a goddamn favor, you puny little piece of shit. That was me. That's me. I'm the puny little piece of shit. And everyone else is doing me a fucking favor. Well, I'm going to show you my speech. And I'm going to hope that you get something from it. I'm also going to hope that everything I do in the future, whether it's for veterans or for the people on the ground, or whether it's in secret to help people who have no names, that I always do it like the puny, worthless piece of shit that I am. And that those people who like to talk to puny, worthless pieces of shit and not other mediators, I hope that they will always feel like they can talk to me. Because I'm just not big enough, I'm not good enough, not really, popular enough to talk to the big guys and be what they're there for. I guess. Here's my speech. And I hope it shows you who I'm there for.
Impeach! Convict! Remove! Impeach! Convict! Remove! Thank you. Thank you. This one may require a bit of crowd participation. I'm introducing myself. I have two stories. Fellow veterans, brothers and sisters in arms, I have two stories. Will I be allowed to say those two stories today? Will I be allowed to tell them today? I ask for your permission because I respect you. That's all. Fuck that. I don't have to. Shit. On December 7th, first story, 1941 at 7:55 a.m., Japan initiated a surprise attack on a naval base at Pearl Harbor. And in less than 2 hours, almost 2,500 men were killed and another 1,000 were wounded, not to mention the number of ships and warplanes that were destroyed. On December 8th, the very next day, then President Franklin D. Roosevelt called this day the Day of Infamy, while declaring war on Japan, thus marking the United States officially into the Second World War. The men who fought that war, and indeed the entire country during this time, belong to what is now known as the greatest generation. They fought back the Nazi demon. Right? They wrestled with fascism and held it down on its mighty back long enough to snuff the very life out of it when it seemed like tyranny was sure to win. The greatest generation. I find it hubris, nauseating, but they earned it. For my second story, we're going to have to fast forward to sometime in the year 1978. A boy was born in Jamaica. His name was Drill Sgt. Doug. Yeah, I'm sure his mother was surprised that she saw him exiting the womb. Knife hand first, calling out, move, hurry up. All jokes aside, that's where I was born, Jamaica. And almost immediately afterwards, my father realized raising a family that now had two sons and raising them in a way that shielded them from the poverty that he grew up in he would have to do something big. He would have to do something bold. He would have to take a risk worthy of that type of reward. So my father came to America alone with $10 in his pocket and a simple promise to go into real estate with my Uncle Roger in Chicago. My friends, he had a decent life. In Jamaica, he had a white picket fence, a company car, a beautiful wife, and things were looking up. But America made a promise that nowhere else could make. America still held the prestige earned by the greatest generation that fought off the Nazis, that stormed that beach knowing they would probably die, but the warmth of freedom's embrace so far outweighed the sting of fascism and even death that they stormed it anyway. And my father, like millions of others around the world, heard those stories and said to themselves, in a place like that, with people like that, there obviously is no ceiling for me. There is none. So my father came here with $10 in his pocket and 6 months later saved enough money to send for his wife and 2 sons back home in Jamaica. And we came here and never left. Now I'm telling you that story. I'm telling you that story so you can understand the context of my service here. Each of you have your own stories. The why, the where, the when that you served. And every one of those stories must be told, even the ones of recruiters preying on the poorest neighborhoods for the teenagers with the seemingly least amount of prospects or opportunities, promising them money, housing, job training, and promising them a proud family when they got home. That story is real. That story is not mine. I did not sign up for that. I was supposed to get college money, though. I would still like that college money, by the way. I'm just saying, I didn't sign up for that, but it would be nice. And if you think that, a black boy growing up in Chicago and then Georgia doesn't understand or is exempt somehow from the systemic racism and all the problems that this country has, think again. I didn't sign up naive about those things either. I signed up to prove my father had made the right decision. I signed up to prove he made the right decision when leaving his home in Jamaica and search for a higher ceiling. I signed up to prove to my father that tyranny around the world could not expand past its own borders. And if it ever tried to, I could be counted among one of those great that fought it back. I could be one of the ones that helped to earn this country the reputation that it got abroad from that generation. I signed up so that my father's son would be a part of that lineage as well as his own. Unfortunately, I've never had the chance to carry on that tradition that would earn me the moniker of the greatest. Now, don't get me wrong, brothers and sisters, no matter how unfortunate that truth is, still we stand at the watch. Because if we were not there, that would surely be the time when our enemies attacked. Name me the country without a military, and I will show you a country that is no longer. Nobody mentions that part, even if the orders are unsavory. The idea of not having a strong military means to invite war. That is just the nature of the human condition. So never let anyone diminish your service. You stood watch, even if you weren't a part of the greatest generation. The greatest generation. Its hubris is nauseating, but not because they didn't earn it. But for one, it's obvious that they were the only generation that had the privilege of naming themselves. Let's be honest. I mean, I didn't get to name myself Generation X. How the heck did they get to name themselves the greatest? I'm just saying. No claps for that one. It's okay. But not just that. The reputation they earned abroad, one of freedom and steadfast objection to fascist ideals, they did not earn at home. The cancers of racism and misogyny they did not fight against in the corridors of their own house has now grown into a bloated, oversized, orange-colored tumor found directly in the center of the soul of this country. the greatest generation. I find this hubris a little bit nauseating because it assumes that there would be no more great generations after it. It was somehow the last one. It assumes that somehow fascism and tyranny would never rise again. I mean, they didn't say the greatest so far. They said the greatest, full stop, period. I respectfully disagree. Every veteran here has now the chance to do something no other American generation since the Civil War has done. We have the chance to fight fascism here, now, right here, right now. The respect that that generation earned for fighting against fascism abroad, the same reputation that brought my father here, has since worn away because they did not fight that tyranny at home. And the rot has spread far past the veneer of freedom and democracy talk, while actions prove otherwise. We can be the next generation to name ourselves veterans. We can be the next generation to name ourselves. When Martin Luther King fought back to fascism, he was not led by the soldiers and the veterans. The veterans who fought fascism abroad, let others fight it at home for them. Not this time. I can assure you that the Republican Party of today's America has no use for democracy. The greed and the purposeful dumbing down of themselves and their entire voter base has left it in its awful wake, a drooling mass of citizens that believe democracy has no place here anymore. I'm going to give you just one quote from the study from Johns Hopkins University. Patricia, 50s, in South Carolina, says, she offered up a common conservative metaphor. Democracy is two wolves and one sheep deciding who's for dinner. I hate the word democracy. I mostly hate it when people who think they are educated about our style of government use it to say, save our democracy. No, there's no democracy here. Praise God. If there were, then California and New York would make all of our decisions. And yeah, that's representative of the majority of the conservatives who they studied in that study. The rest of the report is so sick, I'd rather not read it. But the point is, when they tell you they think the elections are rigged, they're lying. They admit openly that the point isn't to have fair elections. Run on policies that the majority agree with a reach to compromise. The point is to get rid of the majority that they know disagrees with them and rule from the minority position. They want the strong man to hold down and force feed you the racist Christian nationalism. They want you dead for speaking out. They want you deported for being brown. This is fascism. They want an American dictatorship. Not even Martin Luther King will stop it this time. One of those greatest generations was standing in front of Alligator Alcatraz, and he said he was turning 101 years old the next week. He went on to say, February 1944, when I was 18 years old, I was inducted into the Army. And what they taught me to do there was to kill people who set up detention camps. Can you imagine how I felt earlier this year when they announced that one of the future detention camps would be at the same camp landing in Florida? We have a fascist government that allows innocent people to be put in detention camps and incarcerated. And he is correct. He's part of that generation that fought against the fascists. And he sees what we see as people are disappeared in broad daylight, sent to make money for the suffering of innocent people. This is fascism. And they want an American dictatorship. And as veterans, we have the training, the connections, the standards, practices, experience, and the knowledge that we must use now. Yeah. We must tell our own story. We must name ourselves veterans. I stand with anyone who will stand to protect our democracy. Any of these amazing groups out here, but they don't have what's going to take to defend against that type of fascism that bore down bullets and grenades on that beach so long ago. They don't have the training necessary to teach small group battle drills in their neighborhoods. They don't have the knowledge of how to effectively communicate over radio systems when the towers are held by fascists who want to destroy dissent. Some of you out here do. Stand up! Teach! Train! Stand watch at home! Be the first veteran to ever lead the way against tyranny that wasn't over there. We can be the first to defend the freedom against democracy at home. I still fight for the chance to prove that my father made the right decision. I still fight for the chance to join the ranks of those heroes who saved the world from fascism. Unfortunately, every war that's been fought since World War II has been fought for profiteers.
Right. Yep.
Well, now we have the chance to do it here, to do it now. What will I do? I will fight. Say it with me. Fight! 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 I will make my father proud. I will live up to the reason for my original signing. I want to be counted among the great. Do you? What will you do? I will not stop until tyranny that grazes openly in this country is grabbed by the horns and wrestled to the ground, and its very life is snuffed out under the grasp of these Jamaican American hands. I will fight. What will you do? And I will have the chance to name my own generation for a change. I will have the chance to be worthy both at home and abroad, to be named one of the greatest generations. I will fight. What will you do? Fight! 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 Okay. Whatever you do, go home. Do it now. Train up your neighbors. Start their sports shooting and self-defense clubs. Join the groups that represented here today. Offer leadership, though, not just numbers. If you do this, then for the second time in this country's history, a group as fine as this will have the opportunity to name our own generation.
Hey, yeah, you. Before you click away to watch someone unbox a tactical toothbrush, let's talk about something real. Political Drain isn't just another content mill. We're a digital front in a very real war. Not with bullets, but with ideas, with action, and with solidarity. We pair urgent news with critical education. And we build community around actual resistance, not the hashtag kind. The kind that moves. But here's the thing. None of this is free. It isn't. Behind every video is time, labor, research, and some weird guy asking if we're gonna pay the hosting bill. And yeah, some of that money goes to things we can't necessarily say out loud. If you know, you know. Let's just say our special ops aren't Call of Duty LARPers. They're people making real moves to protect, uplift, and organize. You're not just funding a channel. You're funding a resistance network in a world where capital still calls the shots. Unfortunately, in a system built on artificial scarcity, even mutual aid has a price tag. And if we want to grow, if we want to win, we need your help. We need your help. So if you've got even a few bucks to spare, toss it our way. It's not for ads. It's not for merch drops, but for people making moves in the shadows so others can do it in the light. It's just us and you. So fund the mission, fund the fight, fund the future, because nobody's coming to save us. We save each other. That's how this works.